Happy Friday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. It's a glorious day in Chicago. Go outside. Is he outside? Shirtless guy? Not yet. He's still sleeping in after a long night at the bar.
Take
he'll
your
be out soon.
Phone and or computer with you as you listen to us.
That's it. Yeah. Man, is it nice out. I'm Jay Zawaski, Greg Boysen, Mario Tirabassi. Law is here. My wife's over there doing some work.
Nice.
Everybody's here. Actually, that's it. We're the only people here.
We are.
Yeah.
It's very
C4
quiet.
guy was here earlier.
Yeah, the C4 guy came by.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Dropped off some product, which was nice. A lot to get to today. All of a sudden, we are going to do a Central Division kind of free agency off-season recap and do some comparing and contrasting to kind of look at where the division teams are now. But right before the show, a little bit of news came down. Some new numbers for the Blackhawks, and maybe they're telling us a little something about this season. We'll get into it. Make sure you smash the like button for us. We would appreciate that big time. Same deal. Subscribe to the podcast as well on the YouTubes and also on your favorite podcast app. And how about for Friday, you take 5 minutes and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. We would appreciate that very, very much. Those things help us boost our visibility both on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Last week, we were a top 10 hockey podcast and the only team-specific podcast in the top 10. So thank you all very, very much for that. And
certainly helps being one of the only ones on every day this time of year.
There are a lot, though. I mean, you got the whole other network that does daily shows, and it's an accomplishment to be a team-only podcast in the top 10. So couldn't do that without you guys. So thank you very much. All right, so let's get to the news here before we get to the Central Division. So new numbers for the Blackhawks. We've got number 15 for Craig Smith, 25 for Alec Martinez. Laurent Brossoit is wearing 39. Tyler Bertuzzi, 59. Pat Maroon, 77. TJ Brody, 78. Teuvo Teravainen, 86. Ilya Mikheyev, 95. Joey Anderson, switches to 22. Kevin Korchinski switches to 14.
He switches from 55 to 14, and then 55 is picked up by
Artem Levshunov. And the one that got my attention the most is good old number 27, Lucas Reichel, is now number 73. Why does it have our attention? Because the Hawks have a new Hall of Famer, and his name is Jeremy Roenick, and he wore number 27.
He did.
Just like the guy on our brand new shirt.
That's right. What a coincidence.
Just like that random
That guy's going to the Hall of Fame, too.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's our Todd Simpson?
Ty
It's
Jones.
our Ty Jones
Ty
t-shirt.
Jones
Yes.
is,
Adam Boquist. Yeah, Johnny Oduya.
Hey,
Yeah.
Adam Boquist is going to be Gustav Forsling 2.0. Somebody told me that.
You watch.
Well,
he
he's
might.
in the right place for it with all the Boquai.
Yeah.
But yeah, so could this mean Jeremy Roenick's numbers going to the rafters?
It definitely doesn't mean nothing because Reichel at any point could have had 73. No one has had it since, Brandon Peary?
Well, you had to let the luster of Brandon Peary's career die down a little bit. I mean, fans would have been outraged.
Of course.
If you were taking that number too quickly.
Yeah. Reichel could have had that number anytime he wanted. I don't foresee him changing just for the heck of it. Maybe
he's trying to a mojo change.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to say, you know what? I wore 73 when I was in Germany, and I played well in Germany. It made me a first-round pick.
Could be.
Maybe I'll get back to that.
Fresh start,
or it could be the
number.
Blackhawks saying, pick a new number.
Well, I mean, we had this in
with Corey Perry.
We had this with Drew Comezzo last year in Rockford, where he changed from 29 to 33.
And he started the year with 29
because they were retiring Corey Crawford's 29.
Mm-hmm.
So
in Rockford,
right? Could be. I mean, I think that would be a huge deal for fans of our generation, our age group, and older. We've said many times Jeremy Roenick was one of the biggest reasons I just fell in love with the Blackhawks and hockey and those early 90s teams.
Yep.
It'd be great. Well-deserved. Should still retire 28 before 27, but I get it. You know, Roenick was the larger-than-life.
I feel like Roenick's more beloved than Larmer.
Basically because of the personality, and he's far more flashy,
more well-known.
But yeah, it could be, or it could be a whole lot of nothing. It could be the fact that, you know,
I don't think it's nothing.
I don't think it is either. But maybe Reichel says, "Hey, I want a new number." You know.
So we have the criteria here.
I mean, I just think he wants to try and score as many points as his number, and 27 just is not cutting it.
That would be great.
He didn't even do that.
I'll take 73 points.
That would be a big improvement.
I want him to shoot for a little higher number. And 27.
Well, maybe he because there was an organizational change in the last couple of years that in Rockford you got to wear the same number you're going to wear if you were to come up to Chicago. Before that wasn't the case, and now maybe this was his way of saying I'm staying in the league because Jalen Lightman wears 73 in Rockford.
Oh, there you go.
So maybe that's his motivation. I got to keep this number because I can't wear it in Rockford.
That's it. Could be. All right. Well, here's the reported criteria for jersey retirement. Player must be retired. This is the reported criteria that the Blackhawks use to determine if a number gets retired.
I remember going through this at 4 a.m. In a hotel.
I do remember you doing that.
Yeah.
That's weird. Player must be retired for at least 3 years. Check. Played a minimum of 8 years and 500 games. 400 for goaltenders with the Blackhawks.
Did that.
Roenick played 524 games. Is enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Check. Or has played 1,000 games with the Blackhawks.
Oh, okay.
Played more games with the Blackhawks than any other team. Check. Among the most prolific Blackhawks at his position.
Yep.
Check. Exhibited and continues to exhibit strong off-ice character.
Questionable at
Changed
best.
the game of hockey?
Yeah.
You could argue.
Okay.
Cultural impact.
Closer
Cultural
to a check
impact.
mark on that one than the last one.
Yes. Additional consideration given to members for Stanley Cup winners? No. Additional consideration given for the entire body of work done by a player for the organization, including time as a broadcaster, ambassador, and the like. So no on those. But he checks a lot of these boxes. The timing is coincidence, maybe.
Nothing short of predominant.
My only thing is with Roenick's, not very recent. It's been a while. It was the year. What year were the Hawks in the Winter Classic at Notre Dame?
2019.
19. Was that his last year as a broadcaster?
It's been a while. I mean, he got fired from NBC, and NBC hasn't had it in 3 years now. So it was probably pre-pandemic.
So I wonder if there's any kind of fear about
February
backlash.
of 2020 is when he was fired officially.
So I wonder if they're worried about potential pushback on, hey, you know, you're trying to change this organization, and this guy said some questionable things. Maybe it's not the right time.
99% of the fan base won't be saying that.
Well, no, they wouldn't say it about Bobby Hull either, though. And you know,
I
know it's interesting.
Yeah, I think
maybe they're trying a you know, rebranding of Jeremy Roenick to bring him back into the fold.
Maybe. I mean, I think there's, you know, there's been some things said and done, obviously, in his past that he's faced consequences for. But I think, you know, the Hockey Hall of Fame election or induction, I think that shows a little bit of how, you know, the voters of that feel. And I think that could be also a reflection of how, you know, those within the NHL that are the decision makers feel. And yeah, there's definitely going to be some, you know, some pushback to it and some eye rolling. And I think you know that's coming. But this isn't. The NHL is far from a league that will do things if they think that there's going to be that will not do things if they think there's pushback. Right. I mean, look, look who just got reinstated in the last week. So I think that there's maybe some who knows, maybe there's some behind closed doors discussions that have been had showing some, remorse, contrition, whatever. And now there's like a, hey, like let's let it all be in the past and moving forward between him and the organization.
You said something very important there.
Did I? Oh, nice.
He faced consequences. Said something inappropriate. Lost his job. Kind of nobody was touching him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's I mean, I'm a firm believer in everybody deserves second chances.
Yeah.
So maybe this is okay, let's see if you learned from your mistakes.
Sure.
And don't screw this up again. As far as like the ranking of offenses that some of the people in this league and in this society as a whole have made, his is very low on the list as far as like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. But
sure, yeah.
You said he faces consequences. He lost his high profile, high paying job. Mm-hmm. Hasn't had one of those since.
He's back in the game with his podcast with him and Tim Peel.
That we finish higher then. So maybe this is his, the slowly but surely, like, hey, I've learned my lesson, and if that's the case, awesome. Yeah. But just real quick on these numbers, I love, the history of numbers. I know Jay, you're a big numbers guy too.
Yep.
TJ Brody will be the first ever 78 in Blackhawks history,
and the best,
no doubt about it.
Also the worst.
Just the second he steps on the ice for a shift, he will be the worst and best 78 of all time. Mikheyev is just the second 95, but he's got large shoes to fill. Dylan Sekura. Reichel just the second 73 ever. After Brendan Perrier, as we talked about. Pat Maroon just the third 77.
Kirby Dach and
Paul Coffey.
10 games of Paul Coffey.
Legend.
15 games of Kirby Dach and 10 games of... Hopefully he lasts longer than both of those guys combined.
More than
all right,
that.
just seems like 15 games.
Yeah,
so
15 good ones.
And I always like with our guy Laurent Brossoit. 39 to me is such an awesome goalie number.
It's a good goalie number.
Yeah.
Good goalies have worn that.
A few.
Yes.
Patrick Waugh?
Dominic Hasek was 39.
Awesome. Was Waugh 39?
No, he's
33.
33.
And Javi Bullen 39 in Chicago for
35?
38?
He was a 30.
He wore 53 for
53 for a while.
39 a little bit too. I think his second time he was 39 because that's why Huey wore 38.
Yes, he was 39.
Yeah.
Quickly before we get to the breakdown, KR Shy Sports gave us $2 and asked or said, I think Lipin also changed his number today. No.
All right. Well, there you go. So
people in the chat.
I didn't see that, but maybe.
To the AHL.com.
Also, somebody said, like, how many numbers can you retire? It might have been Stephen Belot. The Montreal Canadiens have 18 numbers retired.
You have to at least have 23 available.
Yes. That's it. That's all you need. So
yeah.
That's a lot of numbers.
I mean, at some point, you do have to, like, cap it, I think. The Hawks aren't nearly in that territory yet of the Canadiens, but when you think about it, they should be.
Yeah, in Boston, I think Boston had 12 when I last checked. I think they probably had the second most.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's a cap. I just think
6, 7, 8,
teams have
12.
Different histories and different criteria and stuff.
Yep. So they have plenty more to retire. 2 is going up there. You'll have another 7 up there. 19's going up there. 88's going up there.
Right.
Maybe 27. Maybe 50. Maybe
28.
Someday 28.
Maybe 10.
Yeah, for Tony Monty. Absolutely.
Probably not. Now, this is what I'm looking forward to. Get us a Ring of Honor or a Blackhawks Hall of Fame type thing.
Yeah.
You're expanding the Fifth Third Arena. Put the Hall of Fame over there.
That would be cool. I would love for it to be a physical place you could go.
Yeah.
They have thousands upon thousands of pieces of
Well,
old memorabilia probably
atrium,
just
they put,
hanging
like,
around.
That locker room with like Stan Mikita's old
Yeah.
equipment. Like they've got all that stuff
Yeah.
somewhere.
Game used stuff like crazy.
I will say, too, if it is not on campus of the United Center, make it available. Don't just have it be like, hey, we have a Blackhawks museum. Oh, it's closed except for 1:30 to 2:45
Right,
on Saturdays, every other Saturday in March.
Right.
Right.
And it's got to be a place people can visit.
No, I think if you're going to expand the Fifth Third Arena all the way to Damon, you got plenty of space to throw something in there.
Yeah, I would think so.
But we'll
Absolutely.
see.
Well, you know what's great?
What?
It is not a super hot day like we had in Las Vegas, but it is still a little bit muggy,
still
and
pretty
you
warm.
still got to be on Swass Watch.
Yeah.
You know, not Sasquatch.
I didn't wear my
Swass
Swass
watch.
I didn't wear my Swass watch today.
That's a Swiss watch.
Oh, it's a Swatch.
Swass
Okay,
is a different
gotcha.
thing,
Yeah.
and you don't want that. And if you don't want Swass, Mando is the answer for you. I have switched exclusively to Mando. I was using one brand for my pits and Mando for the rest. I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going all Mando all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. Got the stick deodorant for the pits, the chest, gut, back area. Then you got the cream for the downstairs areas. It's really great.
Just
Makes
lathered
you-
up everywhere.
Oh, it just makes you confident is the main thing. You know, you're out walking around on a warm summer day and you want to make sure you're still fresh, and Mando solves that problem for you. Here's why. Mando doesn't cover up odor after the fact with perfumes and fragrances like other brands. It stops odor at the source by blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat, which is the actual cause of BO. What does this mean? It means Mando is clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. That's a long time. Give yourself the precious gift of time and get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. New customers can get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with the code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's the code CHGO at shopmando.com. $5 off their starter pack. No more swass. Shopmando.com.
And if you're smelling good, you want to be looking good.
Yeah.
And when you put on some Cuts clothing
I'm 0 for 2.
gear, you're going to be looking great.
You look great, Greg.
You're going to be the most stylish of your crew this summer with Cuts. Once we get it. Most guys and gals would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if they could. But the problem is that most t-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or out on date night. But our friends at Cuts has finally changed that. Cuts t-shirts are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and buttery soft that you can look your best like you're dressing up, even when you're dressing down. Yep, buttery soft, wrinkle-free. You never have to substitute comfort for fashion ever again. Dive into the summer with Cuts, and for a limited time, that's you, on the other side of the computer, or listening in your car, or at home, you can save money on MMA star Michael Chandler's favorite clothing company by heading to cutsclothing.com, C-U-T-S, clothing.com, and use the code CHGO for 20% off. Embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. Again, 20% off of your order at cutsclothing.com with the promo code CHGO. And please support our lovely show here and tell them that we here at the CHGO Blackhawks Show sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing.
Maybe Lucas Reichel changed to 73 because Rutger McGorty wants to wear 27 with the Blackhawks.
Oh, see, look at the conspiracy theories are flying.
Well,
Where's
he
2
can't
at
wear-
Michigan?
can't wear
They're
number
not-
2.
They're not going to give him that.
Yeah.
So maybe they
Look what you've
already
done.
Yeah. There you go.
Interesting.
I heard a
interesting.
rumor, bro.
Bro.
Bro, I heard a
Could
rumor.
you imagine, bro?
Could you imagine, bro?
Yeah.
No, none
that's
of us
a
are wearing
report.
hats.
Tweet it.
Sources tell me this.
Yep.
My sources
CHGO
me.
reporting Rutger McGorty to Blackhawks E5.
Well, and I went back and I found the clip from earlier this last training camp, rather, asking Reichel about number 27, and he said that he didn't pick it. He was given 27 when he got to the NHL and Blackhawks and all that. And whoa,
Are we doing our bro
are
thing?
we Matt Pex? I don't know.
Thought Matt Peck showed up for a second.
And he said, you know, he wanted to keep it. It was cool that he was given 27 and that his brother wears 27 over in Germany, and that's why he wanted to keep it. So just a little interesting little
No, bro.
feather in the
McGorty
cap
to
there.
Chicago E5. Bro, confirm, bro. Can you imagine, bro? Bro.
Hell yeah, bro.
Brah.
Bros,
RIP Crush.
bros, we got some super chats.
Let's get to the super chats.
Windy City Hockey, $5. I have a Reichel 27 Reverse Retro 2.0 since he scored. Yeah, take that, Peck. Since he scored his first goal
I'm so mad they traded DeMar.
in it,
Or let him walk, rather.
makes that jersey vintage now. So Windy
Say
City,
that again.
There you
Windy
go.
City's
Wasn't
got the
listening.
reverse retro 2.0 Reichel jersey.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Nice.
And
That is
Michael,
vintage now, yes. That's
And
that's
yes,
true.
Windy City Hockey, I will respond to your DM. I forgot. I'll get back to you.
Michael
Yeah.
Evans.
Hey, now.
Giving him feet pictures?
Yeah. Oh, he's giving me some. He's
Well,
younger than me.
okay, $5 for Michael Evans. Okay, gotta ask, as someone who was 3 when NHL 94 came out, what made JR so op in the
OP.
game? OP? What is it?
Overpowered.
Overpowering. Was his rating just insane or something?
Because he was everything.
It was like a 97
He
overall.
was fast. He could score, but his checking number was super high.
Yeah.
He was overpowered because that's the kind of player he was. And when you were going, like back then, they probably had like maybe 5 or 6 categories of ratings:
Shooting.
shooting,
speed,
passing, speed, checking,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So he was always the best player in that game because he was a beast. By the way, the other day I tweeted that I got a 95 overall Bob Probert in Hockey Ultimate Team. That card is an effing menace.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's just, you can't check him. He just runs you over. You can't take the puck from him. You can't stop him from scoring. It is glorious.
Yeah.
Absolutely glorious.
So Chicago.
BJD says that he was like Bo Jackson at Tecmo Bowl. He couldn't stop him. That's
accurate,
good.
yes.
Yeah, well, I just like you could make him speed up as you're skating, right? And you would
Yes.
skate him towards the guy and just
Boost.
blast
hit
him
the
into
C
the
button.
boards. Yeah.
On your Genesis.
NHL
Yeah.
94 ratings. Jeremy Roenick was an 89.
That's it.
Steve Larmer an 86. Chris Chelios an 84. Ed Belfour a 98.
But these are all probably their scores based on, like, so if someone's fighting was lower or their defense, it was an average score.
Sure, yeah. Like Dirk Graham was a 67,
Right.
which if you said a player is a 67 in NHL 24
Right.
terms, they're like, oh, they suck.
It'd be a 2023-24 Blackhawk.
He's an ECHLer.
Like, okay, so 94, Gretzky would have been on.
Oh, Michael doesn't know what Tecmo Bowl is either. Come
Well,
on,
Michael, you need
Oh,
to
my
like
My goodness.
Go
Jesus.
get older.
go get some culture and join us next week.
Wait,
then.
so what
I'm
did I
not-
say
I'm not
Roenick
listening
was?
to this garbage anymore.
Just
Ro-
go
so
after the
Roenick
show.
was at 89.
Look up Tecmo
What was
Bowl.
Gretzky?
Gretzky
Jackson.
was at
99.
87.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you. I think Roenick might have
better
been the
than
highest
Gretzky.
rated player in the game because of the checking rating.
Here, All-Stars of the East. Mario Lemieux was a 100.
Okay. Damn, it's a little
Alexander
disrespectful.
McGillney was a 96.
He was
Adam
great in the
Oates
game.
was a 93.
Again,
Ray
why I
Bork
like
was
Buffalo
a
in that
99. Pat LaFontaine was a 91.
Too high.
All right, All-Stars West. Steve Yzerman, 95.
Overrated.
Pavel Bure and Timu Solani were both 90s, and then Roenick and Doug Gilmore were 89s. There
All right,
go.
we gotta get to our
Now,
reviews here.
let's just take some time.
Just keep talking about NHL 94.
We're a top 10 hockey podcast. Let's go for 2 hours.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Talk about movies and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's
What are we talking about?
NHL. The whole NHL series in the 90s was like, I really feel like that got hockey kind of back on the map a little bit
Yeah.
because everyone played it. The game was super fun. Pick up and play with your buddies, and it was a good way to like learn players. And
Mhm.
like, I don't know, as a kid, I didn't have a lot of access to Buffalo Sabres games, but I did in the game, and that's how I found out about Alexander McGillney.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this guy is really effing good.
Grant Ledyard. I love that defenseman.
Yeah, kind of, those early NHL games, 94, 95, the Genesis, Super Nintendo versions.
Yeah.
That kind of started to take the place of hockey cards for the way kids learned about other teams and players.
Yeah.
For me growing up, it was trading cards, baseball cards, football cards, hockey cards. That's when I learned like who these guys were, what their stats were, and then all of a sudden these video games come out and more kids, started learning about
Yeah.
the
Same-
game and how
same.
the rules and the players through playing the video games.
Same thing happened with me when I started really getting into hockey. I bought, I think it was NHL 2001, 2000. Can't remember exactly which one, but it was learning all the players by playing the game.
Yep.
And just kind of getting acclimated that
Kind
way.
of how I learned about the rules of soccer was playing FIFA.
FIFA. Yeah.
I didn't know, like, I watched soccer before, but I was just kind of like, all right, do they just run back and forth? Is there any like structure to this?
Holds it.
But then,
Holds it.
but then you play FIFA a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of understand this now.
Yeah. Formations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. And with NCAA 25 coming out next week, someone had pointed out like the knowledge of college football, I think, is going to increase because it's all the actual players now.
Yeah.
And by playing the game, you can learn about some of these kids at other schools that you may never watch or may never heard before. That are like, oh, whoa, this player is rated a 95. I've never heard of them. And you get to learn about them. Then you actually watch them on Saturdays and you're like, oh yeah, they are really good, or they're overrated.
It's going to be a big boost for college football. And I remember too, like back in the old days before they had players in the game, I would always name the whole Notre Dame roster because you can go in and edit.
Yeah.
So I'd buy like the, whatever college football preview, Athlon Sports college football preview.
Yeah.
So you name all the players. I would name the whole Notre Dame schedule. So I learn about guys at USC and Michigan State, and that's how I learned who the best players in college football were. And because you had to manually go in and do it. Oh, this guy's a 99. Who's this? It's A-Train.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool. And I really think it's going to be the hype for this game is bigger than I've seen in a long time.
It's been building for 10 years.
They're doing a thing like all weekend on Twitch where celebrities are playing games. Like LeBron is going to do it.
That's awesome.
Well, that means his son's going to play too, right?
Probably,
opponent,
right?
They're going to be on the same.
Yeah,
team.
so it's cool. I can't wait. It's gonna. I guess if you get the deluxe edition, it's out on Tuesday the 16th. Otherwise, it's out on Friday. So
something I discovered that made me incredibly sad, and I'm very torn on what to do. It's not available on Xbox One. That's what I have.
Sounds like a good time to upgrade.
Well, when you share a bank account,
just write it off.
Just
write it off. Yeah.
Start that
when we start CHGO, the CHGO college football show.
Start that OnlyFans feet account and have that money go to a separate account.
I will say
that is true.
And this is not an ad, but Microsoft has a thing where it's like, I forget, it's called like Xbox Now or Xbox Next or something. Maybe someone in the chat knows, and you literally just pay for it over time. I paid like $30 a month.
Yeah.
Until I paid it off, and it's like, all right, I can swing $30
That's how I got my
a month.
PS5 through Amazon. They did a thing where if you got the credit card, you could pay $36 a month for a year, and it was paid off, and that's what I did.
And mine came. I'm sure yours did too. It also included like a year of the online service as part of doing that. It's so they make it more accessible for people to buy, because most people who are not our age, right, can't really drop $400 on a gaming system if you're in your early 20s or teens.
Our shirtless buddy. He was 20 when 94 came out.
There you go.
I'm right there with you, Kevin.
Yeah, I was 15, so we're not far behind.
I was 4.
Quiet you.
Didn't get a Super Nintendo for 2 more years.
Yeah, so Game Pass, everyone's saying Game Pass. Game Pass is the thing now that lets you access older games.
Yeah.
Like you can stream them or download them for free.
Yeah.
But there's some kind of buying program. I'll send it to you. It's definitely worth doing.
I'll figure it out. If not, I'll just put it on the credit card my wife doesn't know about.
Boom.
Until now.
She's not watching now.
This is going to be the one show she's watching. You just got busted.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mario is curious to hear why Kevin Korchinski changed his number. You come home, she's tapping her foot. Just looking at you like, what secret credit card?
Give me your wallet.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's the same problem I ran into when I wanted to download the rosters for NHL 24 that included all the prospects.
Oh, yeah.
They only were available on the Xbox X or the S, and I don't have one. So,
well, again,
I don't know. We'll see.
Once again.
Well, and too, like, we talked about this off the air, but like, I'm at a stage in my life where like buying the game and playing it constantly in my brain is like, yeah, do that. But I am playing video games the least I ever have in my life, just based off of time and energy and availability and stuff. Like, I don't know. I do feel the need to get NHL 25.
I just need it for show research.
I just have to justify dropping $400 to do it.
But it's not at once. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Okay.
If you want Mario to buy an Xbox, smash the like button, or a PlayStation. Hit that like button for us.
Or if you have one that you want to just send me, I'll take it used.
If you'd like to donate.
I'll take it used and pay half what you
I'm saying, I think to embrace the team mindset here at CHGO Sports and to really grow our relationships, not only with us, but with the other shows, we need at least one Xbox here.
I agree.
Yeah, we got the retro emulator, but
for employee morale, it feels like a necessity.
We should honestly just turn Studio B into a game room.
Oh, see, now that's...
I can bring in my PlayStation 4 I don't use anymore.
Yeah, but then you can't get the new stuff on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Still
it comes
play it.
out of a different budget, so we'll figure it out.
While Mario is searching for a better video game console,
Shout out to Shirtless Dark Guy
yes,
out here with the CHGO shirt.
we're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't a search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed.
Indeed.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global visitors. That's according to Indeed data. And a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey.
Indeed.
And listeners to this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now. Well, you can wait till after the show and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And if you want to golf with us
Indeed.
on July 22nd, you're running out of time. That's 10 days from now. My
Coming up
math
fast.
checks out.
Yeah.
I got my golf shirt coming.
Are you ready to go?
I got me a Roosevelt's golf shirt for that day.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Is it a multi-purpose shirt? Because we have 2 events that day.
I will probably be bringing a change for the later event.
I'm showering before that.
I
Well,
think
you know what though? I got the Mando.
that's true.
I should be okay.
That's true.
Just
My
lather on
my,
up.
my dad said he's familiar with this course and he'll be playing, and he said that they do have showers.
Most clubs do.
So
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw that back on the screen so I can give the information there.
Fine.
St. Andrews in West Chicago. That is the Cookout Classic, the inaugural Cookout Classic.
yes,
9 a.m. shotgun start. We still have early bird pricing, even though it's not really early bird anymore. We just want you to come out, have a good time,
take advantage.
golf with us. You're going to get a, what do they call it? A spiked?
John Daly.
John Daly? Yeah, well, it's a spiked Arnold Palmer, which is a John Daly.
That's a good summer drink.
Miller Lite's going to be flowing out there. It's going to be a great time. Last year's at Cog Hill was great. We're going to have another one at Cog in August.
Mhm.
But jump in on this scramble. There's group rates available, whole sponsorships, the whole deal. We usually will have a CHGO merch for sale out there, like a table set up with some of the CHGO branded stuff. So if you want to stock up there, it's just a great time. Come on out, hit the links with us. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be hanging out. There's a lunch afterwards. It's going to be a great day out at St. Andrews in West Chicago. So come on out. AllCHGO.com is the website. If you're a diehard, you're going to save on your ticket. And if you're not a diehard yet and you become one, you'll get 20% off on the event, a free shirt, all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
So do that at allchgo.com. Shout out to our guy, Shirtless Dark Guy, who's there he is on the patio.
Nice.
His
He
Representing.
owns shirts. He just doesn't wear them.
yeah, right. Why would it be on?
I just love that you took this photo 3 minutes ago. And
Yeah. That's about as live as it gets.
Power of
It's
the
a great-
power of
look at that
live
photo.
podcasting.
He hasn't even finished his cigarette yet.
Protecting his identity while sharing a photo. There he is. Always there for us, hanging out with the shirt representing. All right, we got to get to work. By the way, Xbox All Access. It's $36.99 a month for 24 months. And it includes 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate. That's a $17 a month value, pal.
36.99.
Yep.
37 times 24.
It's a lot of money.
Whoa.
It's
like
a lot of money.
37
$800.
times 24. $888.
Yeah, but you're also getting the Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years. So it probably evens about out because the system's what, 400? It's not at once.
But okay,
It's
if
still $800.
you tell me you're going to spend $800 over 2 years or $400 one-time fee, what am I doing?
Yeah, but you got to buy the Game Pass Ultimate too.
Do I have to?
I think if you want to play online, you have to buy at least some version of it.
I don't want to be online.
You kind of have to be online.
I don't want to be online.
with
I'm
Mario.
online enough.
Yeah.
I
But
want
I mean, like to
I want to
download
play my games
rosters
just
and
by myself. I don't want
Yeah, but I
any
think-
12-year-old kicking my ass
we'll
on
see.
NHL
someone will be able to
24
help
or
you there.
anything like that.
Hey, remember when all these other teams in the Central Division got new guys?
I do. Let's talk about
No,
that.
when did that happen?
Let's talk about that.
I was sick.
All right, where do we want to start here, fellas? Do we want to? We had a whole plan, and now the plan is sort of out the window because of the jersey stuff and our grab-assery.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with the Winnipeg Jets,
Sure.
who I think we all agree are the least interesting team in the division.
I
mean,
yeah, probably.
They're one
Mild?
of the.
Mild?
I feel like they haven't really, since they came back from Atlanta and became the Jets again. I feel like they've never been like terrible, but they've really only been like really good once. Like they're right in that like middle of the pack. Like
Well, they were really good last year,
never
but
terrible, sometimes good, but you never like think twice too much about them. And then they play in Winnipeg. Like it's not a marquee,
right.
Big market. So they're one of those teams, like it's like they should be more interesting than they are across the league.
I agree. So what's their key additions? Jarrett Anderson Dolan, Eric Comrie, Hayden Fleury, Capo Kakinen the goalie, Colin Miller, and Mason Shaw. They lose Laurent Brossoit, Brendan Dillon, Sean Monahan, and Tyler Toffoli. They've got $5.8 million in cap space. Did not have a first-round pick this year. That's a big step down, in my opinion.
They were rated by Dom Lucian in The Athletic as the least improved team this offseason.
That's tough, man.
I think there's another team that we're going to be talking about here soon that might be less improved than them, but
by his metrics.
For a team who last year was saying like, hey, we're kind of in danger as a franchise here. Like we need people to attend. We need people coming out. We're not doing great financially.
Kind of have to go
to
for
lose as much as, and I mean, like they didn't lose any cornerstone players, of course, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. They lost some significant talent.
Yeah.
And I think Laurent Brossoit, who obviously signed with the Blackhawks, good old number 39, that's an underrated loss for them. He had 2 goals against last year and like a 920 something save percentage.
Yeah, I mean you had Hellebuck and Brossoit, and I mean the way Brossoit was playing last year, and then it's Connor Hellebuck. Like you can pencil him in for a great night pretty much every time he steps on the ice. Like that's a huge, security blanket to have a goaltending tandem like that. So now you got Kakinen, which is not as who knows, he could fill that role and be a good backup, but. Yeah, that's a big loss. Monahan had a good season. That's a big loss.
Yeah.
Toffoli's a big loss, and I don't know. I think they have some players coming up that will take up bigger roles, to kind of fill some of those gaps. But who knows? Also, who knows what's going on with Nikolai Ehlers? Like, there's still the potential he might be traded. Like, that's a loss too.
And the Rucker McGroarty thing, who's not necessarily in the plans for next year, but that's hanging over their heads as well.
And
I mean, maybe that's where they say I just feel like now most rosters are pretty much settled. If you're going to trade McGroarty before this next season begins, it probably happens already. Before free agency, before trades, before the draft, where teams kind of know where they're at. Now, McGroarty's contract isn't going to be cost prohibitive for people, so he's pretty easy to move.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also not, you figure if you're going to trade him, you're getting something that's going to help right away. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
They feel like a team that their window seems like it is short. Like they're on the back end of their window. Even though they extended Scheifele, they extended Hellebuck's a big part of it for sure. But you got Scheifele, Kyle Connor's still there. Alex Iafallo, Gabe Velarde, they were good pickups off of that Dubois trade. But I don't see like the next big difference maker coming for them. And McGroarty would have been that, but it doesn't sound like he's interested.
And he already wants out.
Well, and that's funny because we mentioned Sean Monahan is one of the guys they didn't re-sign. They traded their reason they didn't have a first-round pick this past season because they traded it to Montreal for Sean Monahan, and now Sean Monahan doesn't re-sign, and you probably really needed that first-round pick, especially if McGroarty doesn't figure it out and decide to come with you. I mean, I know like people are in love with Rucker McGroarty and he's a really nice player, but is he the guy that goes to the Winnipeg Jets and like makes them instant? Like he's
not a Bedard Celebrini type.
So like, and I know
I'd say he's a step above like a Nazar as far as maybe immediate impact.
Yeah,
once he gets to the NHL.
So as you said, Jay, they haven't traded him yet. You would have thought that would happen before the draft or at the draft, so they can get draft capital, maybe get that pick back that they lost. You know, a lot of the rumors heading into the draft was that they needed a first-round pick this year in order to make a deal. So things can change over the course of a year between now and next summer. You know, McGroarty goes back to Michigan. You know, maybe they the Jets do everything humanly possible this coming up season to show that they, you know, I think the biggest thing that I think he was upset about was that they told him that we're not going to play you if you sign, because he saw Frank Nazar get played.
Yeah.
But the Jets were trying
totally different situations.
Jets were trying to get home ice advantage.
Yeah, the Hawks had 110 points last year, like the Jets.
Right.
Frank Nazar would have been.
So I think he got a little
sure.
insulted by that, thinking, well, so what? I could help you guys win. So maybe a year back at Michigan and some. You know, they'll keep loading up his dining hall card for him, and then you know, send a few Papa John pizzas over. Maybe by next summer he's ready to be like, okay, cool, let's do this.
Sure.
Wouldn't it be Little Caesars in Detroit
area?
area?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different, you know,
Bad pizzas.
There's so many times we see this where, like, you know, remember Jake DeBrusk 2 years ago was demanding a trade, and everyone was like, oh, Dylan Strome for Jake DeBrusk makes perfect sense, and he ended up playing 2 more years in Boston.
Right.
So like,
You figure it out.
if he's this good, the Jets, and they didn't get what they were looking to get for him, they obviously put a huge price tag on him.
When you lose to Foley, you lose Monahan. Maybe there's a spot for him now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That could be the answer. All right, let's move on to the Utah hockey team of Utah. HC.
The Utah Utes.
By the way, the more time that goes by, the less I like Yeti as a team name.
It should have been Powder.
Two on the nose.
Utah. Wow, hey,
see what you did there.
That was my vote.
Ever an NHL player? What?
In the public.
As I've said before, I don't care what the name is. Just don't screw up the logo and the uniforms.
Exactly.
The uniform coloring, I think, is going to be good. Since we've already seen it. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. You'll get used to it. Kraken felt weird at the beginning, and then you're like, oh, it actually works.
Kraken works. They branded it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Additions for the Utah hockey team: Ian Cole, Liam O'Brien, John Marino, the big one, Mikhail Shrikachev, and Kevin Stenlund. They lost Travis McDermott. They have 12.57 in cap space. What?
Just Dermott.
It's not Dylan.
Travis Dermott. Why did I say McDermott?
You're thinking of Dylan.
Yeah. 12.57 million in cap space. They drafted TJ Ginla and Cole Mario O'Doin. There you go. Tortured yourself over that mispronunciation.
I said it like 8 times.
Yeah.
At least you didn't say Boisfort live on TV as soon as the draft happened.
7 times.
That's okay.
That's a big upgrade for Utah.
Defensively, yes.
Yes, and
well, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
good players all around the board, and that's a team that was already kind of on the rise with the Coyotes, with a lot of good young players. You've got Logan Cooley, the greatest prospect in the world. Josh Stone made his debut last year.
Clayton Keller's
Did I see the Ginla sign?
He did, but doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't mean
he's
will.
Yeah,
but
he can play in the WHL being signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a team that if they're not good this year, will be good pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean they have a solid team. Like you said, you got Keller, you got Cooley, Nick Schmaltz is there. He's still pretty productive. Lawson Krause has turned into a pretty productive player. Matthias Michelli, Barrett Hayton, and then you have young guys like Doan and Dylan Gunther have kind of come into their own and found spots in the NHL. And then what they did on draft day, trading for or during the draft, trading for Sergachev, getting John Marino. You got a deal done with Sean Dursey. Like such a change in how a team operates from what we saw from the Coyotes for years upon years. Utah went for it, and that's kind of what you have to do with expansion teams now. You can't come in and just coast, or you can't come in and be bad. Like you got to come in and with a bang, and Utah is going to do that. They're a team. As long as their goaltending can hold up with Vejmelka and Connor Ingram, they're a team that I think is probably going to surprise, quote unquote, a lot of people. And I wouldn't be shocked if they make the playoffs and make it maybe not as a wild card. Like they might surprise enough to and play well enough to get up into the top 3 of the division. Not 1 or 2, but top 3.
We'll see. I don't know if I trust the goaltending enough.
Right, that's the biggest question mark.
And there's still some goal scoring issues there, but here's one thing that does give them an advantage when we get closer to trade deadline, and if they are in contention, they've got almost $13 million in cap space.
Yep.
They're not going to be hindered in making a trade. They're not going to have to give up a pick for retention. They're not going to have to find a third team. They're basically going to be able to look at anybody that's on the trade market and go, yeah, we can take that on for the rest of this year.
Well, I think, too, they're going to have an advantage where I think Utah and Salt Lake City is probably a little bit of an unfamiliar place to a lot of NHL players. When they travel there and see the city and see how beautiful it is and, like, the skiing and all the things that are offered to you in that area, it might become a more appealing place for free agents because a lot of people thought they'd be pretty active in free agency and maybe land a decently sized fish. Hasn't been the case, but I think just players seeing Salt Lake City and then being seduced by Scientology will convince a lot of them to just move
Tyler
there
Johnson's
forever.
still out there.
There you go. He's still available. So I think that will help them. And players like maybe with no movement clauses might say, you know what, if you're going to trade me to Utah, I'm down with that. That sounds like a place I want to be.
Maybe. And
just be the star player there, and have it be you and TJ Ginla for the next 10 years.
Hey, I'm sure there's very little pressure to perform as a member of the Utah Hockey Club.
I mean, look, the Kraken are a really good comparison where they were good, not great. They're not like Vegas, but they came out, were competitive. You had a thirsty fan group that was just excited to have a team to get behind. Utah's going to be the same way. So for a few years, they're going to have the grace to not be great right away. But man, if just looking at the franchise, regardless of market, if they land a stud, like let's say they trade for Mitch Marner, if they're the team that gets Mitch Marner or they sign him as a free agent or whatever, that's a pretty effing good group of players there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be a really successful franchise. And it just sucks for all of our friends in PHNX who have suffered, and all the Coyotes fans.
Yeah, they went
who have suffered for years, and now they finally see this team acting like a big boy organization.
Yep.
For the first time since their inaugural season. Ugh. Speaking of bums, let's go to the St. Louis Blues.
Do we have to?
They added Radek Faksa, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, Matthew Joseph,
all the Josephs,
Alexandra Tessier. I like Alexandra. I always do the Alexandra when it's R-E. Ryan Suter, the ghost of Ryan Suter, and the founder of the presumed Pudwack Club. And they lose.
Rumors of Pudwack.
Rumors of Pudwackdom. They lose Kevin Hayes to the Bruins. Good luck with that. Penguins, thank you. Red and black, or blue and yellow and black, same thing. They have $7.25 million in cap space, and they drafted Adam Urasek 16th overall in this draft. So
Ryan Suter is getting paid by 3 teams in the Central Division this year.
Good for him.
Still getting paid by
Minnesota,
more than them, and
yes,
and then we'll be getting paid by the Dallas Stars too. There are 2 teams that have paid you to go away.
No thanks.
And the Blues are like, yes, please, let's have some of that.
Yes, have some.
Can't wait.
Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know. I don't know what the Blues' plan is. It feels very Minnesota Wildy. Just kind of hang out in the middle and not be great, not be bad.
They dished out some contracts. Armstrong, the GM, is another one of those guys that, everybody fell in love with him after 2019. And, he gave out some contracts that aren't looking great towards the back end. You get guys like Braden Shen still making a lot of money, and
$6.5 million until 2027, 28. Kyrou and Thomas are good young players.
They have Buchnevich wrapped up too, so they do have a core there. So maybe they're just kind of we're in a holding pattern until some of our old bad players can get out of here and we can replace them with younger, better players. Not that Shen and Sod are bad players, but they're just declining players.
Man, they've got
Justin
Falk is only 32.
It seems like he's been
he's been playing for 100 years.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. Yeah, I mean, you got a defensive group with Falk and Krug, Colton Parayko. I mean, he's still pretty solid, but he's getting up there too.
31, yeah.
31. Nick Leddy is there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Blues are kind of just in a tire spinning spot. Like like you said, like Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou are really good players.
Push you
But
around.
they don't really have, they don't really have
Smooth skater.
those young guys coming up to like go and push things over the edge. They don't really have a ton of space to like go out and get somebody like that. So I don't know. I feel like they're in a spot where they're trying to make the most of just the situation they're in, and it's kind of like that stuck in the middle spot that you never want to
worst
be in,
place to
where
be.
it's just like you can't draft that difference maker. You have to try and get them in a trade or free agency, which is hard to do. And then you're not good enough to be like, oh, well, it's all worth it because we're going for cups. Like, they're just not in that spot.
Yeah, and anytime your team is hinged on the success of which version of Jordan Binnington you're going to get on every night,
Yeah.
Also hard to do.
it could be a playoff team, could be dead last.
I am going to say something bold.
Oh,
Mark the tape. The Hawks are better than the Blues. The Hawks have a better roster than the Blues.
maybe.
My initial reaction is no, but
I mean,
I don't know. It's,
Connor Bedard is better than anybody on the Blues.
I'll say that, yeah.
With Tavo and Bertuzzi and Taylor Hall, yeah, you could argue that they're better. They should score more goals than the Blues.
I would say Seth Jones and Alex Vlasic are better than their defensemen.
Yeah, okay.
Is their defensive group collectively better than Chicago's?
As a whole, I think yes.
Falk, Krug, Parayko, Leddy,
That's a bunch of number 4s.
and Suter. Yeah. I mean,
And then then you have Suter.
At the start of the year, yes. At the end of the year, I don't know. I mean, I would rather have Justin Falk, Torrey Krug than Alec Martinez and TJ Brody.
sure. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
But it's close. The gap is a lot closer
Yeah.
than it was
Yeah.
365 days ago.
I mean,
Yeah,
I just
for
looking
sure,
at this on
absolutely.
paper, and there's, like you said, you've got a lot of middle pair defensemen.
Right. Which isn't a bad thing, but it doesn't get you over the top.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 6 middle pair defensemen, you have a pretty solid defensive core.
Sure.
Right.
It's solid is fine. I just don't see a lot of
Blackhawks will probably score more goals than the Blues, but the Blues will probably give up less goals than the Hawks do.
I think that's
if Binnington is.
potentially fair.
But they also have
Empty
a lot.
diaper
They also
mode.
have good defensive forwards too.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're good. They're better defensive team, but the Hawks should be a better offensive team than the Blues.
You would think.
So I think when you average it out, they're pretty even right now.
St. Louis Blues scored 234 goals last season, 2.85 per game. We all know the Blackhawks were inept in scoring goals,
Right.
2.17 per game. But I mean,
They
that,
lost
that gap, like you said, that gap I think is going to be way close.
They lose Kevin
closer
Hayes,
this
who
year.
wasn't a huge goal scorer for him, but they didn't exactly replace him with.
What was the
big-time
difference in
scorer.
goals between the two?
About 70.
Well, yeah, like almost 70.
Would you say it's safe to say the Hawks added 60 goals in Teravainen, Bertuzzi, and Hall?
if you get
Would you think the three of them
The
this
three
year will
of them
combine for
could-
60?
the three
Sure.
of them could combine for 60, I would say, yeah.
I say that's fair.
And you're replacing guys like Tyler Johnson and Taylor Radish, and
So yeah,
and
they're offensively
No,
they're
I-
going to be similar.
Yeah.
I still think the Blues are better defense.
And don't forget Bedard's 60 goals this year.
well, yeah, when
Yes.
Bedard scores 109 goals, it's not going to
That'll,
matter.
that'll help close the gap, my friends.
Yeah.
All right, next up is the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Mild.
Hooray.
Oh, look at this great offseason.
Key additions: Yakov Smirnov, Trennan. Key subtractions: Alec Goligoski and Dakota Mermis.
Sure.
Get
Dakota
some cream
Mermaid.
for that.
It's a good
And
thing
they've got a whopping $1.53 million in
Well-
cap space left.
Why? Because you're still paying Ryan Suter and Zach Parise
And-
almost $15 million.
Or you're still
14
paying Gary Suter for some reason.
$14.75 million.
Still paying Basil McRae.
Yeah.
First round pick Zeev Bouillon, 12th overall. Good pick
That's,
for them.
I mean, that is a very good.
Solid pick.
It was
Yep.
one of those weird ones, though, where they traded up one spot to get him.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe they
hey.
knew something.
They
Well,
knew
the Flyers obviously didn't want him that bad if they were willing to trade away to pick.
yeah.
This is another team very similar to the Blues where you're just kind of saying, what's the plan? Where are you going with this?
Well, the plan is they're waiting for that Parise Suter buyouts to come off.
That, I mean, that's
which
certainly going to
starts
help.
next year.
Yeah.
It's under $2 million next year, so that's going to free up about $13 million in cap space.
Next year mean 2025-26.
Right. So in the
because
summer.
next season is 7.371 for
it's
both.
$14.75 million for two players to not play on your team.
Dude?
And this is the third year in a row they've been paying that. Like, but,
Holy
I mean,
moly.
Yeah, they're a team that every year they have to hope everybody has a career year if they want to compete, and that happened 2 years ago when they made playoffs.
Yeah.
Now you got John Hines, who's perfect Minnesota Wild head coach, kind of a meh.
Yeah.
He's there. He's average. Again, their goaltending, I don't know how good it is.
Yeah, Wallstedt, who they're relying. Oh, that's non-roster.
Philip Gustafson and Marc-Andre Fleury.
Again, they're rolling it back. I think Wallstedt will be the starter by the end of the year.
Could be. Yeah.
Marc-Andre Fleury could be a good trade trip for him if he's playing good. Trade him before February because that's usually when he starts to go, oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm 55 years old.
He's
I'm going to start
39, man.
Yeah. Well, he'll be 40 during the season.
By the way, I'm looking at Puckpedia. Very helpful.
Oh yeah,
good stuff. They're doing a great job with this.
It's almost a seamless transaction.
Yeah,
transition.
That
yeah,
too.
I mean Minnesota's they're riding Kirill Kaprizov offensively still. I mean Matt Boldy's turned into a really good player, so that's a big positive for them. You look at Marco Rossi. Got to figure out what he's officially going to be in the NHL. So, I mean, you have some good young players up front that should take some more steps in the NHL this year. But beyond those three, then you're looking at Joel Eriksson-Ek, who's a really good defensive center.
Yeah, good solid player.
Matt Zuccarello, still productive, but he's getting up there in age. Marcus Foligno, he's
second best Foligno.
Yeah, he is what he is. You got Ryan Hartman, who had one hot season in Minnesota and got paid for it. Congratulations.
Keeping your stick on the ice when on the same line as Kirill Kaprizov will do a lot for you.
Yeah, and then you overpaid to get a guy like Yakov Trenin. Like, I don't know. Up front, I feel like Kaprizov, Boldy, Rossi are your best offensive options, and then it's just a bunch of.
They're a top-heavy team, and even that it's not that top-heavy.
Yeah, and then defensively, Spurgeon, Brodin, Zach Bogosian, those are older guys. Obviously, Brock Faber is your
world's greatest player.
Oh yeah,
I mean, is he their best defenseman right now? Is he better than Jared Spurgeon?
I don't think so.
I think he's closing the
he's
gap.
there.
Though.
He's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, he will eventually.
Spurgeon's 34.
Did he not lead the team in time on ice last year?
Well, that's because Jared Spurgeon missed quite a bunch.
Sure, but I mean, I'm saying like he could.
And
do
his
it again.
numbers plummeted when all of a sudden Jared Spurgeon wasn't on the ice with them.
Sure.
But I would say at the start of the year, Jared Spurgeon's probably their best defenseman, and by the end of the season, it will probably be Brock Faber.
24.58.
Maybe he can win the award for best second-year player. Do they
That's
have
exciting. They're gonna have it for him.
Yeah,
She called the Brock Faber Award.
I feel like
Frock Baber.
they're kind of like the Blues, where it's just kind of they're in that middle zone where if everything goes right, like you might have a hot season, but
at least with the Wild, you could see a plan. Once this ridiculous buyout is off the books, we can start going after guys, and we have these young players that are going to be ready to become a legit NHL core, and then all of a sudden we'll have $13 million to spend on the cap. You can see that
it helps.
They're just treading water.
Kaprizov needs a new deal in 2 seasons, I believe.
Well, there goes the 13.
He's up after next season.
Well, there goes the $13 million.
He's after, just to be clear, the 2025-26 season. He's free.
Summer of 26.
Yeah.
Is when he is.
We're in that weird space of next season.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Next.
Well, technically, we're in the 24-25.
Yeah, the season began.
Yes.
All right, next up are the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to be good, I think, guys. What do you think?
I think so.
They added Eric Brännström, the ageless Calvin DeHaan, Parker Kelly, Jacob McDonald-Deleuze, Andrew Cogliano, Brendan Duhaime, Jack Johnson and his Soulful Island Sounds, Caleb Jones, Zach Parise, Yakov Trenin, and Sean Walker.
All right, Zach Parise still getting paid by the Wild. He'll be fine.
They are $1.34 million over the cap.
Uh-oh.
And I believe that's without Vel Nichushkin and Gabriel Landeskog on the books.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
And that's $13+ million with those two. I
Uh-oh.
talked to Megan Angley from DNVR today,
Yeah.
and she said the plan is for Landeskog to play this year, maybe not to start right away, but he's in the plans.
So who you trading?
I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Who you trading?
they re-signed Duran and they re-signed Middlestead.
Yeah,
So-
They should trade us Cale Makar.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
Trade Ross Colton? Here's the problem. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of your top salaried guys. 11 of your top 12 salary guys with some form of no move protection.
Sounds familiar.
One that doesn't, Cale Makar. You trade him?
Get him. Get him.
Yeah, I mean they are going to have to make a decision because if Nikushin and Landeskog are both coming back,
right. That's if they are, because they don't have any money in the LTR pool right now because the season technically hasn't started.
right?
And then Nick Skushin's whatever,
Nichushkin.
Valerie.
Yeah.
He will be if he's still in the assistance program or suspended, whatever it is, that money comes off the book. But if he's not, who's trading for him and is going to give you anything?
I'm not touching that.
I mean, that's a guy that has abandoned you in the most important part of the season.
And look,
Twice.
I know we talk about this all the time. Mental health, substance abuse, understood. A lot of players go through that and recover. There's some other stuff on the peripheries of that are ugly, and I'm not touching that.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting what they do. I would have liked them to improve their goaltending in the summer, but you can't.
No, you can't do
Because
anything.
They've got
no money to work with.
and they traded away. They made trades so they didn't even get a first round pick.
That's why you bring in Calvin DeHaan, because he makes $800K
Yeah.
Right.
and can provide you some.
All those guys they signed.
Yeah.
Outside of the re-signing Duran and Middlestead.
Well, the great news about this is
when you
there's
go out
no
and
way in
draft
hell
three
they're going to
goalies.
re-sign Mikko Rantanen.
I don't know how you do it without trading somebody really
I like
important.
that a lot. 'Cause,
Oh man, that is your answer at your second line center if you're the Blackhawks.
Do you trade Devin Tays? You just signed Middlestat.
That's why the Middlestead thing kind of surprised me. Like, okay, and they got a good deal on him.
Yeah.
5.75 is a solid deal for him.
Yeah, but you're over the cap.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
they'll figure it out.
Give me one of those
The
two
cap
for
is
the
fake
Hawks.
money. They'll figure it out. There's going to be a good team, but they got some decisions to make.
I mean, they can Mark Stone it, and Landeskog can get hurt every year around February and come back. I mean, $5 million a year for Samuel Girard. That doesn't sound great right now.
No,
He's a nice player, but $4.5 million for 2 more years of 32-year-old Josh Manson. That does not sound very good right now.
we'll figure out what they're going to do. We got 2 more teams to go. Let's go next to the Dallas Stars. My pick to win the Cup this year. Thanks for nothing, Pudwax. They added Matt Dumba, Casey DeSmith, and Ilya Labushkin. And they lost Radek Faksa, Yanni Hakanpää, the greatest name in hockey, Joe Pavelski, who retired,
dealership, doesn't it?
Blackhawks legends Craig Smith, Sam Steele's gone, back to the porn industry, Ryan Suter is gone, Chris Tanev to Toronto for the next 100 years, and Scott Wedgwood is gone. They have $7.14 million in cap space, and they selected Emil Hemming, 29th in the NHL draft this season. So
they lost a lot.
they did lose a lot. They lost a lot.
The good thing for them, though, is that they have young players in place that are about to take the next step.
Right.
Logan Stankoven, I think, is going to be a solid NHL player. Wyatt Johnson already is a solid NHL player. You add that to Jason Robinson, rather. Miro Heiskanen, like their core pieces for the future are there.
They also added Colin Blackwell. I don't know if that was on
They
the
also
list.
did, yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't key enough, apparently.
Thomas Harley too is another one, and then you still have Sagan and Jamie Benn and Rupe Hintz for the next few seasons. Like they're going to be a solid team. As much as they lost, they're going to be okay.
Well, there's your model for how to build and sustain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you're Kyle Davidson and you're looking to another team, for example, on how to stay competitive while keeping some of your beloved vets around and still loading up your system.
We already know he's paying attention to what Dallas is doing. how
Oh,
it
yeah.
is to talk about their development. So yes, that is a good. When you look at some of their guys, they've got Rupe Hintz locked up for 4 more years. Jason Robinson still has 2 more years before he needs a new deal. Heiskanen is locked up for 4 more years. So like they've got their most important guys locked up for fairly
And a decent money.
Yeah. I mean,
The only contract here you hate is
Tyler
Sagan.
Seguin at 9.8 for 3 more seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Benn at 9.5 isn't bad, but this is the last year of the deal. And I assume the Dallas Stars will just let him walk, or maybe just give him a, hey, come back for $1 million for 2 years or something like that.
Maybe they offer him a 8-year, $3 million extension like the Tampa Bay Lightning did to Steven Stamkos.
It would be weird seeing Jamie Benn in another uniform, but I imagine they could probably chomp the numbers and work something out.
They're going to be right there again at the top. Last year finished on top of the Central Division with 113 points. Solid in goal with Ottinger and DeSmith.
And they've still got young players coming up through their system. Maverick Bork is another guy they're
great
high
name.
on, and perfect name for.
I mean, he might
play in Dallas.
even play in the NHL this year. For the most
think
part.
so. I mean, he made his NHL debut at the United Center last year, and when we put up that long list of players that left, they lost a lot of depth. He will probably be one of the guys that fill one of those positions.
They have a lot of great names in their system. Gavin Bayruther.
Nice.
Kyle Copabianco. Great name.
Nice.
Tristan Bertucci. Love that one. They got a lot of good names. Oscar Beck. We're getting Oscar back.
Yeah. He's played in the NHL.
Antonio Stranges. R2 Hirai. They got great names.
That's a Star Wars character.
Justin Hikoian. Lots of good names for them. But Maverick Borg at the top.
Yeah, definitely.
And put yourself in a stank oven.
Hell yeah.
All right, one more team to go.
The team that did the most.
Yes, they did. The Nashville Predators added Steven Stamkos. You may have heard of him. Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea, and Scott Wedgwood. They lose Tyson Barrie, Jarrett Anderson Dolan, Anthony Beauvillier, Blackhawks legend, and Jason Zucker. They have $596,000 in cap space and took Igor Surin, 22nd overall in the draft. Nashville, right up there with the Hawks in terms of teams who have improved the most.
Yeah.
And they were a pretty damn solid team last year. The number 1 wild card spot with 99 points. I could see them and Winnipeg kind of flipping this year in terms of standings place, because Nashville, and you also have Steven Stamkos with something to prove, with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Look the F out for that dude.
And Marchessault too. Marchessault feels like he got dicked over by Vegas, so he's going to go out and
join
be
the club, Jonathan. Everybody gets dicked over by them.
Sure.
But to get him for $5.5 million, he's 33, but doesn't seem like he's got the mileage on him that a lot of 33-year-olds do.
Right, because he wasn't a full-time NHLer until he was like 27.
Yeah.
So
I think Nashville. I think Dallas is still the team to beat. Colorado.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville is like second in the division.
It wouldn't shock me, because
maybe
Colorado's got to figure things out here.
Yeah,
I don't know what. I don't know.
Well, and with Nashville, I mean, you made the decision to lock up UC Saros, and he's your goaltender for the now and the future. Wedgwood's a solid backup. I don't know what's going to happen with Askarov, but you've put your chips in on the UC Saros basket, and he's a solid goaltender. Like that's not a bad decision to do that. And defensively, I think you're solid with Roman Josi back there. They're a team that is going to no longer be an afterthought or shooting for the middle. Like, this was an offseason. Barry Trotz came in with a plan.
Yep,
and he has got higher aspirations than David Poile ever did.
Well, and as we like to joke at the expense of the Predators, because it's a rival and they always seem to crap on the Hawks as much as they can as a fan base. Like, it's good to see this organization functioning and getting top free agents like Marchessault, Forsberg, Shea. We're top of Stamkos. Like, we're top of the list for free agents, and they got 3 of the guys towards the top. Like, it's an impressive offseason for them. So
absolutely, and Philip Forsberg doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting now.
Right.
Yeah. He's got some help. You got Stamkos and Marchessault. You got Ryan. So now guys that maybe were playing way above where they needed to. Guys like Colton Sissons and Gustav Tatar or Tarquist, Gustav Tarquist.
Yes.
They can now play bottom six as opposed to top six, where they'll be better. So yeah, they've got a pretty deep team. Brady Shea gives them another really solid defender on the back end to join Roman Yossi. They still got Alexander Carrier, who's
Decent.
Who's their stay-at-home kind of physical guy. Luke Shen, 34, but still producing, still a really good, solid defensive defenseman. So, they're much as I don't not happy about it, but they'll be one of the top 3 teams. They're not going to be a wild card team.
But it's funny though. It seems like they've kind of like put the chips in for this window because they don't got any cap space, and they are paying Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, and Kyle Turris and Matthias Ekholm combined $11.8 million to not be there. And next year they're going to pay them $8.8 million to not be there. So they need to make.
Are paying Ryan Johansson not to play for them these days.
They need to make the most of their their gamble here with the Stamkos and Marcia Show moves. So
well, look, you had Philip Forsberg, who had 48 goals and 46 assists last year. Now adding Steven Stamkos to his wing. Look out!
That's pretty good.
Like that's.
Are you telling me that the greatest general manager that ever lived has all these bad contracts on buyout and retention?
Couldn't be.
Maybe.
No way.
Impossible.
But all the cups that they
GM for life.
Oh, it's like we talked about though with Seattle and Utah. Like, just happy to be here. Happy to have a team. Happy to keep us relevant. Nashville. I don't know. The way they praise him, and I know there's more to it than just team success, but. Man, David Poile is beloved. There's going to be a statue of him soon, right next to Ernest Tubb on Broadway. And I don't know. All right, well, that was fun. We got through a lot today. Do us a favor, smash that like button on your way out. Way too few likes for this show. I know we had a lot to get to, so we didn't have time to remind you. So please hit that. We'll be back Monday with another Mailbag Monday show. And next week, we're going to start our player previews and reviews format to be decided. Speaking of format, got some news on that front as it comes to Who's Your Hawk.
Yes. Well, we're saving that for the season.
I know, but it's good. It's good.
It's going to be some actual set rules here, so we're not relying on fake blue lions at the end of the night.
Yes, exactly.
I don't like it.
Of course you don't. You won. All right, we'll talk to everybody on Monday. Look for that prompt note on Discord or on Twitter on Sunday to reply to get your questions in, and we'll get them in as we always do on Mailbag Monday. Until then, have a great weekend. Be safe. We'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.